So is anybody besides me just tired? Tired of what we're seeing happening in our country? I'm tired of the class warfare, the race baiting, the political correctness, the virtue signaling, and the wokeness that seems to be prevailing. I'm tired of the ongoing virtue signaling and this attitude that if you don't agree with my opinions or my politics or my agenda or my religion or even my lack of religion, then you are full of hate and intolerant. I'm tired of the insults and name calling. And I'm tired of the overreactions if someone does feel insulted. What we thought was incredibly immature in elementary school appears to show a level of maturity now that we need to all be striving for. You remember how we dealt with insults in elementary school? If someone called us a poopy head or they made fun of how we looked or how we dressed, we didn't write a manifesto and go shoot up the school. We didn't cyberbully someone telling them that the only thing that they should do that would make any sense would be to commit suicide. No, when they insulted us, we told them, I'm rubber, you're glue. Bounces off me and sticks to you. That's right. Or when they called us a dork or a nerd, we responded with, I know you are, but what am I? And if they got really mean and said horribly awful things to us, we pulled out the comeback hammer. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. Those responses actually seem to be way more mature than what we're seeing happen today. But I want to take a moment and let's look a little bit deeper at the sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. You know, whoever came with that, I'm sure had really good intentions, but they were a blooming idiot. It's true that sticks and stones do hurt. You won't be able to see it, but right here, I have a scar. It's a scar from a stone. And my brother and I were playing baseball in the front yard, and I must have succeeded at something that he didn't think I should have, and he bent down, picked up a rock, and threw it at me as hard as he could, hit me right there, cut me open, and I now have a scar from that. So here I'm not saying that sticks and stones don't hurt, because they do. What I'm saying is that words do hurt. And although I have this scar on my face from the stone that my brother Phil threw at me, did you know that I haven't suffered any pain from that since about 7 days after it happened, way back in 1973? But we all know that there are some words that have been spoken to us at times that have been hurting us every day for 10, 20, 30, 50 years. See, words and the pain that can come from words can last a lifetime. When someone says mean or hurtful things, or they do emotionally hurtful things, it can cause pain in us that we will suffer from for a lifetime if we don't deal with it. So I've got some good news for you this morning. If you're still hurting from something that someone said to you or something that someone did to you, even though it was years ago, God has given you a tool to deal with it so that you don't have to keep living in that pain. And it's this thing called forgiveness. And so I want to talk about that this morning in a message that I'm titling, Say What? Based on the parable of the unmerciful servant. We've been working through the parables of Jesus all summer, and today's the last message in this message series. And so it's found in Matthew chapter 18. So let's begin in verse 21. Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? So before we get into the parable, Peter asks a question that launches the parable, that launches Jesus into the parable. So Peter comes to Jesus and he says, okay, Jesus, if someone does something to me, they say something to me, or they do something that they're sinning against me, it's something directed at me, how many times should I forgive them? Here's what he's asking. So if they do something to me or say something to me that's hurtful and I forgive them, and then they do it again and I forgive them, and they do it again. Jesus, how many times do I have to forgive somebody that keeps doing this to me over and over and over? It's a fair question, right? And the last part of verse 21, he goes on to say, up to 7 times? Now, what you need to understand is that when Peter says up to 7 times, he is being incredibly generous in his mind. And here's why. The rabbis of the day taught that you were obligated to forgive someone who sins against you